Hi, I'm Jude Huff and welcome to my group How to Potty Train. So lots of you have been joining my new group. I only started it yesterday and there's a gateway of questions on the beginning. And if I'd been a betting person, I'd gone down the bookies and placed a bet, I would now be quids in. I wouldn't be starting a potty training business because I would be a multimillionaire because I would have already guessed what the most common question was going to be on that suite of questions to join the group. And always the most common thing that I get asked is all about poo. It causes no end of drama and it is the most stressful thing for parents. It's just more stressful than anything else sometimes. It's exactly why I got in the potty training industry, and at some point I'll share my full story. But how I got into this was because my son, he's now 14, but when he was a toddler he became massively constipated and was very impacted and quite poorly, and I invented a product to help manage the stress and mess of potty training for parents, because I truly believe that it is all about the mindset of the parents, and if we can eliminate the stress and mess for us, then we can help make this transition smoother. And I also believe there's an awful lot going on with your child that sometimes we just don't realise as parents. We're so pressured, we have so much going on, and sometimes handling potty training, it can just seem like your toddler is sat conspiring overnight to make your life even more difficult the next day. And understanding some of what's really going on for them can be incredibly liberating, can make you a much more forgiving parent, and it can help you get through potty training much quicker. So anyway, the number one question I've been asked, and it has happened again today, is the question of poo. And most commonly what happens when children don't want to poo in the potty or toilet, are insisting on pooing in their knickers or possibly in a nappy. So now, this may surprise you, those of you who are struggling, because I'm going to say something quite controversial. If your child is in the bathroom and refusing to poo in their pants and insisting on going in a nappy or just refusing to go on the potty, then something really magical has happened, because they actually are telling you a very clear signal that they understand what is going on in their body and their relationship to potty training. Now, I know you think I'm mad. You think potty training's not working. What do you mean my child knows what's going on? That's just bonkers. They don't know what's going on because they can't get the poo in the right place. But they do, because one of the things we're looking for when we potty train our child is for them to start to read their body's cue for the toilet, for them to be able to tell you that they have been to the toilet, or that they are going, or that they need to go. And a child that is asserting themselves and telling you that they don't want to go in the poo in the place that we would like them to do the poo, knows exactly what is going on with their body. They are very conscious and aware they're going to the toilet, and actually it means, it's a sign to me that your child is actually a really long way down the potty training path. Now, lots of people may say to you, actually your child's not ready, put the nappy back on, they're just not ready. If they were ready, they'd know what to do. Now, I believe that the fastest route is the most direct route, and if you're going to put the nappy back on, a child that is clever enough to know that they're going to poo and know and assert where they don't want to go is going to work out pretty quick that if they push your buttons and you revert to nappies, then they can do that again in the future. So I would really caution against it. You're going to have to go through some tough times when you potty train, and sometimes it is really difficult and really mystifying why children are choosing to create these certain actions. The other thing it's telling you is that your child can assert themselves. They're learning to control their environment. This is probably the first thing they do. This and fussy eating, they're the two things that are children are brilliant at using to control their environment. Now, they're not being Machiavellian and sat there at night, plotting your destruction. It's completely unconscious, but they are doing something and getting a reaction to it. And it's pretty new experience for a toddler. They're learning how to assert themselves. Sometimes they're just learning to say no and not do something you tell them to do. But this is part of growing up. So acknowledging that actually they're quite far along their potty training journey, not putting the nappy back on, because you've actually come a really long way, is a really good thing to acknowledge. So what do you actually do? Because obviously it's stressing you out, and me telling you all that is all well and good, but it's not fixing the problem for you. So this is what I would do. Firstly, it is really easy for children to poop in their nappy or to poop in their pants and for you to clean it up. And we have to change the relationship when we're potty training between the ease of doing what they want for you to clean up and doing it the right way. So you have to make consequences happen for pooing in their pants or in their nappy, and this might be something that works for you, and if it's not, I'm going to tell you some other things. So what I mean by that is when they poo in their pants, all well and good, but they're going to have to help clean it up. They can't just go back to play. You can't just clean them up and let them get on with it, and you have to delay their reinteraction with what they were doing before they went to the toilet. So yes, they're going to have to stand there and help you clean it up, or wait, or get the wipes, or whatever it is. So you're not making it easier for them to poo in the pants and you clean up. You're actually making it much more arduous. And all the time you're saying to them, if you just go for a poo in the potty or in the toilet, you can quickly get back to what you were doing. Because toddlers are busy people. They're often far too social to bother with potty training. And that is sometimes the problem. The second thing we can do is teach them where the poo is meant to go. So when they've done it in their nappy or their pants, with them, pop it down the toilet and wave it off. And there's a little story you can tell. And I was taught this by my health visitor. I used it on my son. It was brilliant. And it's about teaching them that in the sewer there are lots of poos, and that poo needs to go off to be with all its other poo friends. Yes, I know potty training is a form of madness, and I'm asking you to embrace the madness and tell some stories with your child. They can wave it off, they can flush the toilet and see it go down, so they see that the toilet is not a scary thing. They're putting the poo in the right place. Even if they're doing a poo in the potty, tip it into the toilet and wave it goodbye. And that is a really good way of getting them used to the concept that that is where poo is meant to go. And sometimes it can really help, because then they can just deliver the poo straight to their friends down the toilet or in the potty. That might work. Now, the third thing you might have to consider is that they're just frightened of going to a poo altogether. And this whole concept could be painful for them. It could be about asserting control, or it could be a variety of other reasons, some of which we will never know. And so it is also okay to have a rule that they can poo in their nappy in the bathroom. If your child is insisting on pooing in a nappy and just won't go on the potty and is potentially withholding, then the poo fairy can deliver a nappy to the bathroom purely for the purposes of poo. And that is quite useful, because once you get that argument out of the way and there's no longer stress involved in pooing, you'll actually find it resolves itself really quickly. And you can even do things like sit them on the toilet or potty in their nappy so they get used to that concept. The next thing I would talk about is how you scold or chastise the situation that's going on. It can be really frustrating for a parent. You know, poo is incredibly messy. It's not pleasant to deal with. It can feel like your child's plotting against you. So turn your anger and upset and frustration on the poo. It's actually really funny to tell off the poo that's going down the toilet for being a naughty poo, for being in the knickers by mistake or being in the nappy by mistake, and getting your child to join in telling the poo off makes the poo the guilty party, not the child. And that is a really clever way of just diffusing some tension, both having a laugh about it and just actually creating a completely different social environment around what's going on. So it doesn't become this battleground, it actually becomes quite funny. And sometimes just changing the tempo, putting some humour where it normally would be frustrating, and just again reinforcing that message that that naughty poo was meant to go down the toilet, not in your child's pants or nappy, just helps your child take control of the situation in a different way, because they can help the poo get where it needs to be. So those are some of my top tips for what happens when your child won't go to a poo where you want them to go. I would say keep going. It is not an easy process. These are challenges that are sent to test us and to test our resolve. And there is one way out of this, and this is to get your child potty trained. And if you go back into nappies, trust me, your brain is going to be very absorbed with fearing this the next time it comes along. As I say, use humour, use everything as an opportunity to reinforce where the poo is meant to go, and always be doing your nappy changes in the bathroom, whatever's going on, because that's what grown-ups do. We don't change. We don't go to the toilet in the lounge like we do with toddlers. You know, always take them to the bathroom, be reinforcing the messages, tell off the poo, allow a nappy in the bathroom only if that's what your child is requiring. And if the child is going in their pants, put the poo down the toilet and tell them the story about where all the poos live, and that this little poo's missing out. All his little mates are in poo land and he's not there. So that can really help. So I hope those are some top tips that can help you tackle the rather messy issue of poo. Trust me, I do feel your pain. It's exactly where I was. It's how I got into this industry. It's how I've ended up working with professionals over the last 12 years. It's why I invented a product to help tackle the stress and mess of potty training for parents. And I do know how hard this is and how frustrating, and sometimes how lonely you can feel, because everyone around you just seems to potty train like magic and you don't. But that's not actually the truth, because there's thousands of people messaging all the time around these sorts of issues. They just may not be telling you about them. So you're not on your own. I can tell you that 90% of the people who've answered the question on my Facebook page have all said exactly that. So you're definitely not on your own. And I hope that helps. And I'll be back with more tips going forward and lots of news. I've got lots of exciting things to share with you. Bye.